Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead. Power is taken, not given. Joined as always by proud Tesla shareholder John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics. How are you doing today, my friend? How's that stock portfolio looking?
It's not looking good, TJ. I don't know what's been going on, but for some reason the Tesla stock is dropping right now for reasons that just are completely confusing to me. No one could have seen this coming, TJ.
Well, you win some, you lose some. That's the game of the stock market there. So, folks, we have a great show. We are really looking forward to this. We always complain that big news seems to only happen when we're not doing the show or when we're taking a break or like a day off or something. And we finally stumbled on to like earth-shattering news, a couple hours before the show started. I can't wait for this. So we
not just earth-shattering news, TJ, but like earth-shattering news right in our fucking lane. Like
yes.
We have been calling for this since the moment the Trump-Elon marriage happened, and I cannot wait to talk about it. I'm so excited. But first, I feel like we have someone to introduce.
We do. We have a guest today. It is Nathan Rio I know him from TikTok. I'm sure other people may know him from other places, but here's a little sample of Rio's content here. Let's see what he has to say.
Something that I feel compelled to say, and I'm going to start saying it a lot more. If there's one ideology that's driving and owning class, it is that the ownership over survival resources should not be returned to the people. And nothing else matters. That one sentence is the true belief of the billionaire class. The poor, the people don't deserve it. They're not responsible enough. They're not educated enough to manage it. They would squander it. They are trying to steal private property. That's a really big popular one. That we, trying to take back our survival resources, is trying to steal private property. Meanwhile, they are actually stealing our property and our very survival. They're stealing it. Yes, they have legal ownership and legal access and legal control over these things. But those laws are only legitimate if the people give them legitimacy. This is why deconstruction is so important. If we stop believing in these stupid ideas of ownership, there's nothing wrong with ownership itself. You can own smaller things, but you shouldn't own survival resources for a population of people. That should never be privatized. And I'm talking about housing, water, food, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, basic infrastructure like heat, electricity should not be owned by a ruling billionaire class. And by the way, as soon as a survival resource is commodified, you no longer have a free market. It's a forced market. You're forced to purchase. That's not a free market.
All right, Rio, I thought that was some good stuff on there. Let's bring him on. Oh wait, what do we do here? Oh man, it's gonna be a rough one. Okay,
we got this, TJ. Again, don't worry about the switching. I'll handle all the switching.
All right, cool. Rio, that was fantastic. We appreciate it, man. So have you not heard about our two main characters in the billionaire class who are at odds today?
Okay, so I'm guessing there's like even a bigger rift between Musk and Trump.
Yes, it's gone nuclear. Yeah.
Let's get into it.
I love it. I love this shit. So yeah, it's actually perfect. It kind of rolls right into what we're talking about. That the existence of billionaires is something that the left has always said is an actual. I mean, it's a national security threat, but it's also a threat to the existence of humanity in general. And there's no stronger example of this than with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. John, you want to drop what happened here?
So yeah, this has been a story in the making. So longtime viewers of our show will know that we have been calling for this divorce to happen for a long time, because inevitably two men with that large of an ego cannot coexist for that long. At least coexist in a way where they're sharing the spotlight, right? They can coexist when their class interests are aligned, but they can't coexist when the national attention is on them. And we were surprised here. Like TJ and I were shocked by how long this lasted. I know this is coming as a surprise to some people, but the surprise to us is that it didn't happen before he became inaugurated, right? But this is the brief timeline of events. So going back a little bit, I think it starts at the Wisconsin Supreme Court race.
Yes.
And we will fast forward from there, but that is where the rift started. Elon Musk, if you guys remember, heavily invested in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race And all evidence, like going from the polling data, going from the results in the elections that he supported versus the elections that he didn't, the candidates he supported, the Republicans he supported, underperformed the Republicans that he did not invest into. And it was a very clear sign that Elon Musk's influence was a electoral hazard for the Trump presidency and Republicans in general. And that is when you started seeing Trump backing away. At the same time, you saw Tesla shares are plummeting, and Elon Musk had this nice little cover of, oh, I need to do what's right by my investors. I'm going to step away from this publicly. And then last week, he was officially resigned from the Trump administration, and they said it was because his, I think it was 160 day, it was 130, 160, something like that day, license for being a government employee, temporary government employee, ended. And so they're like, oh, okay, so he's done now. La-di-da, here's a big gold key, Mr. Musk, and you be on your way. And this was, by the way, if you guys remember, the same time when Stephen Miller's wife mysteriously decided she was going to leave with Elon Musk. And Elon Musk showed up with a black eye to that Oval Office presentation. Again, not speculating anything, but where there's smoke, there's fire. Anyway, that was like, okay, are they going to part amicably here? Is this possible? And I was getting worried that me and TJ were wrong. Well, fortunately, me and TJ are not often wrong. And this week, the fireworks exploded. Particularly, it started over the, not the Build Back Better, different BBB, the big beautiful bill, as Trump calls it. And this makes sense because Elon, say what you will about him being a Nazi and shit, he was definitely for cutting government spending. Like, he didn't really know how to effectively do it, but he definitely cared about that shit. And he didn't understand that he was given a controller that was not plugged in so he could pretend to play with the big boys, right? And he thought he was legitimately trying to do this. So then Trump wants to pass this bill that is going to increase the deficit by what? I think it's $3.8 trillion, if I remember correctly. That could be an incorrect figure, but multiple trillions of dollars this bill raised the deficit by. And Elon's like, what the fuck? We were supposed to cut the deficit. I thought that's what we were here for. And Trump was like, bro, didn't you understand the controller wasn't plugged in? I thought you were playing along with this. And Elon's like, no, this is actually what I wanted to do. So here's a recap of the events of the last few days. Okay. So I'm putting all of this exposition out there. I usually don't like to talk this long, but it is all very pertinent and necessary. So on June 3rd, Musk attacked, on June 5th. No, that's today. Sorry. June 3rd, Musk attacks Trump's top legislative priority, sweeping tax cut and spending bill. He says, I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it. Which, hilariously enough, he sounds very much like a fucking liberal pearl.
I know.
There.
Yes,
I
yes.
know. The guilt trip, dude. Yeah.
Then, so that was like 2 days ago. So like there was some like tit and tat back and forth, but nothing big. And then June 5th, that is today, around noon, Trump says that he anticipates Musk criticizing him personally. He says, look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we will anymore. He said the most beautiful things about me, and he hasn't said bad things about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot. Musk posts on X, 10 minutes later, slim, beautiful bill for the win. And then 15 minutes after that, Musk responds to a clip of Trump at the Oval Office saying Musk knew his inner workings of the bill, saying, false. This bill was never shown to me once, and he has passed in the dead of night so fast that almost no one in Congress could even read it. At 1:57, Musk launches a poll on X with the question, is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents 80% of the middle? At 2:37, Trump hits back on social media, on Truth Social. Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. And then he said, the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I've always surprised that Biden didn't do it. By the way, very funny because, like, yeah, why that makes so much sense from Trump's point of view. Why wouldn't he attack his political enemies? That doesn't make any sense. Then Trump defends this spending bill and takes a swipe at Musk. I don't mind Elon turning against me, but he should have done so months ago. This is one of the greatest bills ever presented to Congress. 509, Musk posts on X. In light of the president's statement about cancellation of my government contracts, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. At 411, Musk writes yes on a Twitter post responding to it was that fucking guy that doesn't even live here. I'm completely forgetting his name, but he quote tweeted
Ian Miles Chong.
Ian Miles Chong, yeah, and he says President versus Elon, who wins? My money's on Elon. Trump should be impeached, and JD Vance should replace him. And then Musk writes at 426, the Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of this year. Utterly incredible sequence of events today. We've been anticipating the kaijus fighting for so long, and it seems like the dam has finally burst. Rio, it seems like you weren't following this afternoon. What is your reaction here?
Well, I was following it. I just didn't know the last little bit, and today it just all totally exploded. I also knew that shit was going to happen. You could see that from a mile away, the two egos. And the way that Musk would say, well, I'm not officially the president. Like, you knew that shit was going to explode, you know? Do you know what I'm talking about? When he would say that?
Yeah. What? Wait, which time? Because this is a long checkered history.
Long time, since a long time ago. I just knew that they had I knew that they both had huge egos. Mm-hmm. And I knew that they were going to come to a head. Everybody that Trump has around him is eventually an enemy. So
yes,
yeah,
yep. I have so much to add on this, and John, you did leave out the biggest one, the biggest Elon tweet right here. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen this one. I might be breaking news for both of you guys here, but
Elon, shit, how did I forget this one? Jesus Christ!
Said time to drop the really big bomb. The real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump. That's yes. I mean, holy shit, like home run right there. I love it so much. Yes. Oddly enough, this is like Elon Musk saying this makes me think Trump might not be in the Epstein files. That was the first time I was, okay, maybe we were off on this. Like I still can, but it doesn't make any sense. Elon saying this because. Or Elon, you're telling me you knew Trump was in the Epstein files and you volunteered to work with him, or you stayed working with him? Did you just find this out today, like this morning, and you're breaking this news? And if you know this, where's your evidence? Like, present it. Like, how did you know this? Like, let us know all the details on this. But yeah, this has been fascinating, like watching everything that's been going on here. And I wanted to show a few videos on this. Have you seen Trump talking about Elon and his departure? Have you guys seen any of those?
I've seen a couple clips of it, but
yeah,
I did want to say before we get into them, TJ, this afternoon has just been dopamine hit after dopamine hit for the left wing specifically, because these are all things we've been saying. Trump's in the Epstein files, that's why he won't release them. We've been saying that, and like I don't understand how anyone doesn't think that. Exactly. Even if Elon knows, I agree with you. I don't think Elon necessarily knows that Trump's in the Epstein files, but Elon understands that's the case. It's the only explanation for why he hasn't released them. And if he does have the evidence, I would say that he won't release it because he's probably
in it too.
Or his other friends he doesn't want to upset.
I am really surprised that it's happening so fast and they're already screaming at each other and it's a full-blown breakup because they've been having, Trump has had kid gloves on with him for sure.
Yeah.
And Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, the way that he talked, what do you call him? Thune or Thune? Thune. Right?
Yeah. John Thune. Yeah.
He's had kid gloves on. Everyone has when they talk about Musk, like disagreeing with BBB, with the big, beautiful bill. It's like, oh, well, he missed this one, but he's a great friend. We respect him. So I thought this would all happen. I just didn't expect it to all happen right now at once, but I guess I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I thought it would happen sooner. So I guess by this time, I would have expected this to have happened, but I would have expected more lead up. I didn't think this would happen over the course of 48 hours. Basically, Elon was dropped last week, and he kind of pouted about it, and maybe did some passive aggressive tweeting every now and then. But a day and a half ago, what did he say? I can't stand it anymore.
Yeah.
The big beautiful bill is a betrayal, an abomination is what he called it, and has been just laying into Trump ever since then. And it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be interesting. I have a suspicion that the same thing that happened with most people when they like disciple the Kyle Rittenhouse and other people, or they speak out against the administration or something, that we'll see a tweet a week from now when Elon said, after a long conversation with Donald Trump, I've realized that this is because that's the only move Elon can do. I think he doesn't realize he's bitten off more than he can chew here, because in a battle of the Trump cult versus the Elon cult, the Trump cult will win. Donald Trump has bested men far more competent than Elon Musk. Like, this is not going to be a competition at all. And I think Elon's going to have to realize that sooner rather than later, especially with, John, as you were mentioning, with his stock situation and his businesses.
No, you're wrong, TJ.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
wrong.
let's see.
And here's why you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is way weaker. Like, Trump's offense is way stronger than Elon's. Trump's defense is way weaker. Because think about what Trump has to do to hurt Elon. Trump has to destroy Tesla, which also isn't in his best interest. Like, it would be a double-edged sword for Donald Trump to attack Tesla. That being said, because so many of his supporters own Tesla stock now, like it would be crushing. And all Elon has to do is turn away, because we've talked about this, he just has to turn away enough of the cult to imperil Trump's political dominance over the GOP. And his cult is smaller, but if he adds his cult to the budget hawks, the deficit hawks, that exist within the Republican Party and are already opposing Trump on this bill, it could do real damage to Donald Trump in a way that Trump really can't do to Elon. He's the richest man in the world. You can't hurt him, unless he's going to go and fucking arrest him and deport him to El Salvador. Like, it would take significant action for Trump to actually be able to hurt Elon Musk, because he's unhurtable. He's the richest man in the world. What are you going to do to him?
Well, I mean, what does losing look like to Trump? That he doesn't get this bill passed? I think he can weather that storm. I've seen him get out of a lot worse.
He loses control of the Republican Party. A divide in the Republican Party would crush his power. Like, if there's a legitimate, it's already happening. Like, we're already seeing the budget hawks are coming against this. This bill very well still might not pass. And even if it does, you're seeing a rift start to form where if even a couple Republicans get off of the Trump train, it could spell doom for the domino effect could escalate quite quickly for him. Is he dumb enough to understand that? No. Or is he smart enough to understand that? No. But he is in a vulnerable position more so than Elon is.
What do you think, Rio?
I mean, he is the richest man in the world. He's had a lot of falling out. He's alienated his friends and cabinet members in the past. But now we're going to get to see a feud with the richest man in the world. So, popcorn. I'm excited.
I don't know about that, John. I don't know about that. I can't see anything. If the Epstein list came out, now let's say Elon Musk had proof of this, that Donald Trump was a pedophile and he was on the Epstein list, and that he's committed all. I don't see how they're leaving Trump. I just don't. I mean, maybe a few politicians might falter on the bill and everything. He'll live through that. By next month, no one's going to remember. I just don't think. Then again, who knows? We'll see. Let's see what Trump had.
Elon Musk can carry sustained support for a lot of issues. Again, it's not just the bill; it is the growing fissure that is the weakness.
I think, though, but I think that's kind of that kind of goes against what happened, though. Like, the reason that Elon's not there anymore is because we found out Elon isn't nearly as valuable as we thought he was.
Democrats. That's against Democrats. Look at Donald Trump in general elections anyway. When he endorses candidates, his candidates always win the Republican primaries, and more often than not lose the general. What Elon was putting money into was a general. Mm-hmm. He got out the vote for Democrats in that general. But on the Republican primary side, if Donald Trump loses that primary power over Republicans, that is the way he on power. And Elon can threaten that. That's my point.
Oh,
Don't you guys get the impression that everyone's scared of Elon Musk in the Republican Party because
well,
he's
yes, because like Elon being there to put money against your primary opponent
yeah
is scary. Yeah,
yeah
that is scary. I think, but I think that I don't know. I don't believe that the majority of like the Republicans' primary base of voters is going to be more swayed by Musk than Trump. I don't. I don't believe. I haven't seen Donald Trump lose to a Republican yet. I don't think it's going to happen now. Even Elon Musk. Especially someone like. Oh wait, John, you brought it up. Ah, fuck. There's too many tweets. I had the one up, but where Elon did my favorite dumb guy thing, where he says, we need a third party that
Yeah.
represents the 80% in the middle. Like something that I expect from a centrist Democrat or some shit. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll know pretty quickly within the next week or so which way this is going to go. But I'm interested to see. But I wanted to play these clips from Trump because these are just fantastic. I love this. This is Trump. I think this is one about him talking about the EV mandates John was talking about.
Because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden, he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different. And I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody. And he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
That, of course, was said before Elon Musk called him a pedophile. Shit, I went the wrong one here. All right, go Rio. What do you think? Are you surprised that Elon so quickly? Well, actually, you did mention that you were surprised that he so quickly did this. But did you sense betrayal in Trump's voice? Like, do you think that he was like really saddened by this, or did he kind of see this coming and was prepping for it?
I think that Trump sees Elon as the richest man in the world. I think that Trump has respect for him because he sees him as a larger billionaire. And that's how Trump thinks. I knew that this was coming. I just didn't know it would explode like this. I think that Elon Musk has become very comfortable with publicly admitting and confessing that he is moving pieces on the chessboard. I'm gonna fund your opponent next time. He is this billionaire that's controlling things. So I think that Trump sees him as a billionaire that's controlling things from the top. That's the way that I think I think Trump looks up to Elon Musk. Do you guys think that I'm wrong with that?
John, you go ahead.
I think you're directionally correct, but I would not go so far as to say Trump looks up to Elon Musk because I don't think Trump looks up to anyone.
I don't think he looks up to him personally. I don't think he looks up to him morally or something.
But I don't think he views Elon as high. Yeah, I don't think he structurally views Elon as higher than him. Like I agree with you that the reason that Trump has this respect for him is because of his status as the biggest billionaire, right? Like that's why this respect exists. But I really struggle to conceptualize the idea of Donald Trump thinking that anyone on the planet is structurally above him.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think he looks up to Elon. I think he sees him as a tool. Which I think what they were trying to say, that he sees like he's useful. Like, yeah, okay, I can use this money to help me out here. But I think he despises Elon Musk. I think that Donald Trump can't stand. Donald Trump is. We always talk about he's very good with the communication aspect. He can't speak, but he's speaking and communicating aren't the same thing. Like Donald Trump is really good at the vibes and the feelings. Like he walks into rooms and people cheer for him, and he does the handshaking and the back slapping and the kissing babies. He's great at it. When he's on stage, he gets the crowd all amped up. Trump respects charisma and cool factor, and Elon has none. Elon would give anything to be Donald Trump. I don't think Donald Trump would trade places with Elon for a second, even for the money. I don't think he would do it. I think that he sees and especially since his usefulness is questionable now ever since the Wisconsin thing, because we all kind of assumed, oh, well, it was the money that got that got Trump across the finish line. And maybe it was, I'm sure it didn't hurt or anything. But now Trump has got to be thinking, as I was thinking, I'm sure a lot of people were, all right, well, how valuable is this guy? I mean, his money is cool and everything, but I think the draw, we talk about how Trump lost in 2022 and 2018. Yeah, 2018 and 2020 and 2022. The Republicans lost more. But once Trump got back in the race, they won. And I think John and I discussed this as Trump is just a huge pull. Like he draws a lot of people out that otherwise wouldn't participate in elections. And Trump probably thought, yeah, I'm the reason I won that election. Like they voted for me. They may have liked Musk. They may have enjoyed his weird meme shit and everything, but I'm the star of this show. So yeah, I don't know if I think he respects Musk. I think that he really despises him, looks down, and couldn't wait till he was out of the office. But he did see him as a useful tool. And he actually, I think in this clip right here, I think Trump kind of refers to Elon as a jilted lover, which is how I kind of see it.
Things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know.
John, I have it on good authority that all of your old girlfriends act the same way. It's like, they had the John Cooper experience. They've lost it. The magic has gone out of their life and they just get vengeful and spiteful and depressed on their life. They start rage tweeting, although John is a perfect angel. So tell us, John, what is that like? Since you've been in the situation at least 24 times through my knowledge, how have you dealt with it?
TJ,
pretty good.
TJ, you couldn't be more wrong. I am well known for keeping excellent relationships with my ex-girlfriends, much to the chagrin of any of my new girlfriends. That is so. Here's my favorite thing about that line. I just imagine saying this. Imagine saying this out loud and having zero self-awareness. Yeah, guys.
I know.
When people are directly controlled by me and working under me, all they do is tell me good things about me and how much they love me. And then the minute they leave, suddenly they hate me. They must be deranged. It must be something about them. This keeps happening to me, and I can't figure out why.
Yeah. Maybe sometime in the future, someone will write a book and someone will figure it out. I don't know.
Okay. I don't know if either of you guys are old enough to remember Bush derangement syndrome. Do you remember back during the Bush administration, if you would watch Fox News or listen to Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity or anything like that, they would always refer to the Democrats who criticized George W. Bush with BDS as having Bush derangement syndrome. I remember hearing it all the time back in those days. And it's so fucking lazy that they just went to Trump derangement syndrome right away. But I think that Trump derangement syndrome has a problem that it's easy to flip on them, because if you love Donald Trump and everything about him, you worship the ground that he walks on, you're the one who's deranged, right? Like that's the actual Trump's derangement syndrome. I don't know how people don't understand that. And I got one more here. This is, I think, them mentioning what John talked about with Elon's black eye, which I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice until I heard Trump talk about it. Then I've heard people mention this, but let me see if this is the right clip. Let's go.
No. And, I can understand why he's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk. And even with the black eye, I said, do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup. But he said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting and very nice. He wants to be who he is. So you could make that statement too, I guess. Look.
what's interesting about him saying he didn't want makeup? I thought that was an odd thing to say. But John, so Elon, for those of you wondering, Elon Musk did come out sporting a fresh shiner on his eye, and people said, "Hey, what's up with that?" And Elon said, "Oh, I was wrestling with my son who's named X or something like that. And my son punched me in the face." And we're like, "Ah, kid, can't blame you there." But I kind of let that slide. Yeah, that happens and stuff. But then I heard about two different things. I heard about the alleged affair he was having with Stephen Miller's wife. I didn't know she left with him. That you have to expand on that in a little bit, John. I didn't know that. And I also heard he got into a fight with who's Mark Lauterbach's favorite guy, Scott Bessent, I think, that he was arguing with him about the tariffs and everything, and they got into a fight. So, yeah, I'm not sure where the black guy came from, but it does help with the lore of this story that Elon is actually getting into physical altercations with people at the White House. Let us know more about this affair, John. This is some juicy shit right here.
It's so. First of all, I just have to say I've been very critical of Elon Musk parenting on this show, and when I'm wrong, I admit it. I'm sorry, Elon. You taught your son to punch Nazis, and I have to give you credit for that.
There we
go. Very good job. Good parenting advice from you. But anyway, so what happened there, again, it's all speculation. Who am I to suggest a crazy conspiracy theory is most certainly true? I would never do that. But it is a coincidence that Stephen Miller's wife, Stephen Miller is the bald dude with the fucking giant forehead for those who are not recognizing his name. But his wife also had the same special government. I'm forgetting the exact name of this title, but it's like a special government position or something like that allows someone to get access to classified material or whatever on a temporary status for 130, 160 days. And Elon and Stephen Miller's wife both got this status on the same day. So they were both ending this status on the same day. But I don't know what the conversation was, but Elon must have been like, "Hey, you want to come work for me?" And she was like, "I'm out of a job, so sure." And again, can't say anything, but Elon Musk did have the black eye on his right eye, and Stephen Miller is one of the 10-15% of Americans that are left-handed. So again, it's not no smoking gun, but it's enough for me to laugh about it, TJ.
It's just know. Go ahead.
I'm surprised that Stephen Miller. I don't think Stephen Miller is capable of punching another man. That guy is the twerpiest twerp I've ever seen.
Hey, it's just as good as any conspiracy theory the right wing could come up with. It's better, in fact. It's got more threads connected. When you mentioned Stephen Miller, so those of you who don't know, if you don't know who Stephen Miller is, it's just like John said. He's a bald guy, really thin face. I mean, looks kind of weasel-like, and he's always saying the most bigoted, white supremacist stuff that you can find in the Trump administration for 2 terms. In the
Trump administration, he is one of the most clearly fascist Nazis, and that is saying something. It's very explicit.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys saw this clip, but it's unfortunately only 7 or 8 seconds. I wish I could find the whole thing, but this is Stephen Miller as a college student, and he's yelling, or you know what? Fuck it. Let's hear it.
Oh my gosh.
Am I the only one who is sick and tired of being told to pick up my trash? And we have plenty of janitors who are paid to do it for us.
All right. I don't know if everyone could hear that. It was a little muffled, I think. But Stephen Miller is yelling, what is he, 21, 22 years old, yelling screeching at the top of his lungs that I am sick and tired of being told that I have to pick up my trash when we have plenty of janitors who are paid to do it for us. And listen, if you couldn't predict that guy would grow up to be an influential Republican, you are blind. It's about, okay, that it's obvious. This is him as a kid. Right? This is him when he's at his chillest, at his most cool, and his most adaptable to society with small amounts of rage. And it's now he's 40 something. So yeah, we had to see that coming. But yeah, that is wild about the Stephen Miller thing. I didn't know about that. I'd like to see so she just left the White House with him. That's some wild shit. But yeah, Rio, what do you think? Stephen Miller, fan or not?
I'm not a fan of Stephen Miller. That guy is scummy and slimy and twerpy. Holy cow. I just can't even believe how people like that get into power. It boggles my mind still, but I don't think they had a divorce or anything. So far she's just going to Tesla. So
Well,
see.
I don't know
Well,
about that.
Again, yeah, like
let's get something going.
if we are going to be forced to live in a world where facts of reality do not influence what happens in reality, then I'm going to choose the facts that make me happy at the
That's
end of
true.
the night to believe in, because
Let's go with the alternative facts for
it
sure.
hurts no one but Nazis for me to believe that, Rio.
I have one more tweet from Elon Musk that really, really made me laugh here. And I don't know if you guys out there saw the New York Times did this expose talking about Elon Musk. This was the big Elon Musk news that dropped right when Elon left, where I think it was, I don't think there was a named source, but it was an unnamed source in the White House said, yeah, Elon does a lot of drugs. Newsflash. Hope you guys were sitting down for this. Elon Musk does a lot of drugs. I know he doesn't seem like that type of guy, but they mentioned that he would carry, multiple different medications and take the ketamine and stuff while he was on trips and everything. The guy was high all the time. He spends half his time playing video games. And that's why I really like this tweet Elon sent out a few days ago. Also, to be clear, I am, all caps, not taking drugs. The New York Times was lying their ass off. I tried prescription ketamine a few years ago and said so on X, so this is not even news. It helps for getting out of dark mental holes, but I haven't taken it since then. Elon, if they are lying and calling you a drug addict in the Gray Lady, the newspaper of record in the United States, why don't you sue them? Why don't you sue them, Elon Musk? You're the richest man in the world, right? You're telling me that there is libel. There is like on print right there for millions of people to see. And you're going to let that slide by just, oh, nope, they're lying. I'm tweeting. Oh, what happened here? Did I do that?
Yeah, it got taken off, but I just put it back up.
No, okay. It's like, if you think that they are actually lying about you and then they're besmirching the reputation of the good and honorable and noble Elon Musk, why don't you sue them for everything they're worth? You're telling me you wouldn't love to own Twitter and the New York Times? You're telling me, because you can do that, Elon. The ball's in your court, man. Why not? Had you seen this, John?
TJ, if you were to just black out the top of that and I had no understanding of any context around Elon Musk, and I just read the tweet, crying, laughing face emoji, 100% emoji. Also, to be clear, I am not taking drugs. Right. I would bet my life savings that random person is taking drugs. That is only something a drug addict has ever said.
Oh God.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts on Elon and Musk? Because there was a comment that we got that I want to talk about for a moment.
Go. I have something, but yeah, go for it. Look at the comment.
So Zeke asked if we had a chance to see the New York City debate. I didn't watch the debate. I saw a few clips, and there's one I wanted to share specifically. But TJ, you just had a reaction there. The Israel one, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What was that?
You had a reaction there when I said that. Was there something? Did you watch the whole debate?
No, I didn't watch the whole debate, but I think I got a clip for it. Yeah.
Is it also the Israel one?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Okay,
yeah.
I got it ready.
Go for it.
How long is it?
It's not that long.
It's not long.
Okay, so let's play. Mine is 2 minutes long, and I think it's important to play the 2 minute one because I want to make sure that people know. This question was asked to everyone on the stage. This question was asked to everyone on the stage. Yeah, you want I pull mine up, John?
No, this is the 2 minute one too. I got it right here.
Perfect. All right, cool.
Yep.
Always considered visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first? Left to right, Miss Adams.
You guys are hearing that, right?
Yeah.
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
Okay, Mr. Lander, sorry.
Boy, what Trump is doing to Canada, there's a lot of opportunities for us to partner better with them.
Ms. Ramos.
I'd love to meet Claudia Sheinbaum, but I'd probably head to Colombia to my parents' homeland.
Mr. Myrie.
I am the proud son of 2 Caribbean immigrants. I represent a robust Caribbean constituency. I'd like to go to the Caribbean as my first visit.
Mr. Cuomo.
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
As a state with equal rights.
He won't,
Okay.
he
Not
won't
as
say
a
it
Jewish
has
state.
a right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very
And
clear
his
on that.
answer was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that.
That's what he was trying to say.
No. Unlike
No,
you, I
you
answer.
never-
Unlike
you
you, I
never
answer
said
questions
no.
very
Okay.
directly.
All right, I
and
think
I
we're
want to
clear.
be
You
very
answered-
clear. I
you answered-
believe every state should be a state of equal rights.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Blake, where would you go on your first foreign visit as mayor of New York?
My full name is
Oh.
Shut out.
Oh, well, we got the point. Yeah, we got the point.
Yeah,
Right
so
there.
I ended it there because that was so on so many levels so funny.
Oh yeah.
Because they clearly set that up to go after Zoran. Like there's no doubt in anyone's mind that is exactly what happened there. Because why was his answer specifically questioned about not going to Israel?
Yeah.
When no one else is, if everyone had said Israel and then he didn't, I could maybe be like, okay, so you're the odd one out there. Why didn't you say that? Multiple people didn't say Israel. And then they specifically asked, so you're saying you wouldn't go to Israel? And he's like, bitch, I didn't say that. I said I don't like pancakes.
And then they tried to shove it even further. They tried to say, well, wait, do you believe that Israel should be a Jewish state? Like they try and get like into Zionism immediately. It's crazy.
There's a show called BoJack Horseman. I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys have ever seen it. So there's an episode where he's like on a trivia show, and his opponent keeps getting like questions like, "How many colors are there in the rainbow?" And he gets questions like, "During the 2002 debate between," and just like, and he's like, "What the fuck is going?" And that's exactly what happened. They're just like pancake question. Hey, where would you go on a visit anywhere? And he's like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, do you support Israel existing as a Jewish state? It's like, where is that? How is that even fucking related?
Yeah, that was, so I will preface this by saying, I don't know anything about, well, other than Cuomo, I don't know anything about any of these candidates, but I already know who my favorite one is. I already know. Like that 2-minute clip showed me everything, told me everything I need to know about these folks. And yes, John, I thought it was very important to do what you just did right there to show that a lot of clips I saw started when they asked him, hey, would you go to Israel and everything? No, it's important to know. They asked like half a dozen other people where they wanted to go. They named country after country. I think one person, maybe two, said Israel, something like that. He gave his answer, and I have to highlight, he gave the best answer. The answer he gave was, yeah, I'm the mayor of New York, so I'm going to be right here in New York City, which is the answer I'd want my mayor to say. The clip I had, he prefaced the question by saying, the moderator, he said, historically, the mayor of New York's first foreign visit has always been a big deal. I said, it has? I mean, I don't know. I don't live in New York City, but why? Why would that be a big deal? Like, who cares? Like, this is the mayor of a city. This isn't a president. This isn't a prime minister. It's not even a governor. But honestly, the governor would be weird too. Why would I care what foreign country they go visit? And the guy says, like you mentioned, yeah, I'm going to be here in New York City. Oh, would you ever go to Israel? It's like, whoa. Like, why are you asking me that? That's what I would have said. Well, what does it matter if I'd have gone to Israel or not? And yeah, Rio, you're right. They push it. It is insane to me that for the original question of, does Israel have a right to exist, out of left field, but a nonsensical question. I think Ta-Nehisi Coates pointed this out the most clearly. And when he said, states don't establish their existence by rights. They establish it by force. That's every single state, Israel included. So it's a nonsense question. And second, going further right into the Zionism, does it have the right to exist as a Jewish state? That answer is no. No, I'm sorry. Like, hot take on our part, like we say on the show all the time, ethno states are bad. I don't know why this is an acceptable thing that they thought, aha, this is a gotcha question here. And I don't know, in the electorate of New York City, perhaps it is, but morally, it's not. Yeah, thank you for bringing that, because I had actually forgotten about that. My mind was taken over by the whole Elon thing, but that was wild.
Yeah, it's so it's so jarring and it's so
It is.
disorienting to see people say, like, does Israel have the right to exist? And it's like, does any fucking country have rights? Do governments have rights? Because I thought that people and living things had rights. I thought rights were, human rights from being human. It's just so we're so fucking twisted into this corporatocracy and capitalism. Like, corporations and political philosophies and political entities have rights all of a sudden. And he gave, just like you said, TJ, he gave the perfect answer. He said, he strategically, I would like to think that he strategically did this, but maybe he didn't. But he said, I think that states should have equal rights.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something like that. He said, I think that if states exist, they should have equal rights. They should be based on equal rights. And that was kind of a low-key way to say fuck apartheid states. I would like to think. But yeah, apartheid is wrong. An apartheid state obviously should not exist. It shouldn't have the rights to exist. And no state has rights. States do not have rights. Political philosophies don't have rights. So yeah, that was just so bizarre, dude. Did you guys read the comments
on like that
on those videos? Because every single comment
yeah.
is like, are they running for mayor of Israel? Are they trying to? It was crazy.
First of all, Rio, we got you're cooking from Zeke, so you're getting complimented from the audience. Just wanted to
Thanks,
let you know that. But Colby also said John popped off on Threads with that ethno-state one. Guys, I've been doing the thing where I'm like purposely engaging with the Hornet's Nest. Just because I want to drill down to like what the other side is saying here. And I've been popping off on Threads about this particular issue. And one thing I wanted to point out, I'm very glad someone prompted this clip because I did really want to talk about it. But something I wanted to point out is he said, I believe that Israel should be a state with equal rights.
Yeah.
And everyone on that stage understood that meant he did not think it should be a Jewish state. That I want to be very clear. All of the Zionists on that panel very clearly understood that Israel should be a state with equal rights means Israel is not a Jewish state. And therefore, if Israel is a Jewish state, it must mean that Israel does not have equal rights. You cannot. I hate that people. I've been fighting this battle for the past 48 hours here, Rio, and it's just like they're like, oh well, technically it's not an ethno state because these people have rights inside Israel. I'm just like, bro, it is in the fucking Israeli basic law. Israel is a Jewish national state where only Jews have the right to self-determination. That's all you need to say Israel ethno-state bad. That's all you need. And you can just agree with that and say Israel still has the right to defend itself against foreign attackers and all of that. That's fine. We can have that conversation. But if you start to tell me, no, Israel isn't an ethno-state, it's totally okay for them to be a Jewish nation. And then I ask you, okay, can you name me a single other nation that that's okay with? Is it okay that Saudi Arabia is a Muslim nation? No. Is it okay if America were to come out and say we're a white Christian nation? No. So why the fuck is this different?
Yeah, you're right. It's low key. It really, and you made a brilliant point. It is an admission that all of them acknowledge that Israel fundamentally does not believe in human rights. I mean, that's really brazen for me to say, but I'm sorry if this fucks up your show, but like,
you're preaching to the choir here.
Appreciate it. You're good. Yeah.
I say this every time I come on. I feel like I'm too radical. It's weird, guys, because I'll make videos. This is so weird. I hope that this is in my head. I'll make videos on my phone. I won't upload them to TikTok. I won't upload them anywhere. They're just sitting on my phone. About how Israel doesn't fundamentally believe in human rights. And if you don't believe that rights belong to humans, then you don't believe in human rights at all. If you think rights are given from a God entity to humans, then you don't believe in human rights at all, because the idea of human rights is that humans have the fucking rights and the rights come from humanity. So if you believe in ethno-state, in an ethno-state where only one ethnicity has their rights protected, and outside of that ethnicity, no rights are even recognized, then you don't believe in human rights at all. So John, you're fucking brilliant, because what actually happened on that stage was that everybody, I guess this is like a non-verbal cue. It's like everybody immediately like non-verbally confessed that Israel doesn't actually believe in human rights. It doesn't stand for human rights. Everybody knew that when he said equal rights, he was attacking the concept of a Jewish state. And so what does that tell you? That tells you that a Jewish state doesn't believe in human rights.
Yeah, they are 100% okay with it. What bothers me is the lack of shame when it comes to this, because I think it might be a bit much to even say that they're tricked into saying this, because if you really drill down, it's what they believe. Like John, you mentioned well, if you ask them, are you okay with the fact that Saudi Arabia is a Muslim Arab state and they're very proud of this, and they say it, and they're like, well, no, that's not, and because they use that whenever you say, yeah, I don't believe in the morality or the support of a state that openly states that they're an ethno-nationalist state, they will ask you, oh, well, why are you fine with all the Muslim states? News for you, folks. We're not fine with that either, right? Although, if I came on the show and I said, all the other, yep, there you go. That is what they say. Does anybody really think if you give the Palestinians the ability to form their own state, it becomes sort of vibrant democracy? We'll get to that. It's a really dumb question. But all right, so really stupid, really dumb. But when
I could talk about that.
Yeah, so they would like to say, well, look, the Muslim states, why are you fine? Well, I was going to say with that shit, or where I was going with that, but the fact that we say that, no, that's not okay no matter who does it. That's not a gotcha. It's not some sort of trap. I remember now. If I came on here and I said, fuck Saudi Arabia, it's not cool what they're doing. They're an oppressive state. They take away rights from minority ethnicities. They're exploiting their religion and their ethnicity to absorb power into a small group. It'll be fucking crickets. I'm not going to hear anybody saying, how dare you? You're telling me that the people of Saudi Arabia don't have the right to defend themselves? You're telling me Saudi Arabia... No one's going to ask me those questions. It's never going to happen. Now, to what our idiot commenter said, that if you think you give Israel over to the Palestinians, it'll be some sort of paradise. No, what we're saying is that it should be a constitutional secular state. That's the answer. A one-state secular democracy. That is the brilliant, controversial point that we have here, that it shouldn't be given over to any one group to say we can exclude anyone like we want. It's one of our main problems with Donald J. Trump. Okay, it's all consistent. I know you guys aren't familiar with that, but that's how the real world works when you're dealing with grown-ups.
It's incredible. Like, they genuinely don't believe in logical consistency. Like, it's so deeply ingrained in them that they will say one thing and believe another and not be consistent about it. They just assume you couldn't possibly be logically consistent about it. They're like, bro, there's no way. If you don't support Israel, you must support the Muslims. And it's like, I mean, I support Muslims, but like, I don't support theocratic ethno-states of fucking Muslim majority. Like, that's not what people brought up the Vatican to me today, TJ. I'm like, you think I support the Vatican?
I know the Vatican.
Me, the Vatican? It's insane. First, which is also funny because it's like, yeah, it's a state, but like, there's more people in my fucking apartment complex. Like, it's kind of a different thing. But like, so the thing that they always say, TJ, is, well, Israel, like you're saying, Israel, human rights and everything. It's like, well, Israel has a right to like have security for its own citizens, and everything that they're doing, it has nothing to do with ethnicity or anything.
Of course not.
The Jews are not safe unless they have this ethno state. That's the reason it's okay for Jews to have an ethno state, because they've been so historically discriminated against for all time. Which there are plenty of other ethnicities that have like historically been fucking destroyed for like constant forever, that don't get their own ethno state, which I would also stand against having their own ethno state. And two, that would assume that states' rights trump human rights. Like what you're saying earlier
Yeah.
about the human rights are derived from humanity. We collectively believe in them, and that is where they come from. And states' rights are an extension of that. States are a collection of humans, and every right a state has is derived from the existence of the individual human rights collectively organizing together. But when the states' rights supersede the human rights, that doesn't make any fucking sense. You can't argue that a state has a right to defend itself, sure, but it doesn't get to trample on human rights to do so. It doesn't get to kill thousands of innocent children to defend itself. You could say it gets to kill thousands of innocent children to defend thousands more innocent children, but to defend the existence of Israel as a Jewish state, I'm sorry, that's not worth starving thousands of children to death. It just isn't, because it's already inherently bad.
Yeah.
Well,
And this. Oh, wait, Rio. Sorry, go ahead.
If you scratch on any of these Hasbara means is Zionist propaganda. And if you scratch on this Zionist propaganda, then you can break through it really easily. I grew up as a Mormon, okay? And anytime anybody said anything bad about Joseph Smith, doesn't matter if it was true or based in tons of evidence, if it was slightly negative at all, it was anti-Mormon. And then the conversation was shut down. And so this anti-Zionism thing, this anti-Semitism, when someone screams anti-Semitism, it triggers me, gives me like religious trauma. And if you talk to people in Israel, which I've debated with people over there, just on TikTok and in lives and everything, they say, well, the Jews have to be in control. It has to be an ethno state, because then we would be a minority. And then Palestinians, they don't believe in democracy, and they're not capable of democracy. And you're like, what in the fuck kind of racist bullshit is that? So they'll start to tell you, oh, well, Palestinians are violent.
The slaves can't read, and they're stupid, and so they shouldn't get the right to vote. They can't be in a democracy, because if we let them vote, it would be terrible for all of us. Explain to me what the difference is there.
And the funny thing is, literally the exact same arguments actually were used for the abolition of slavery. That slaves would be too violent to be ruled by democracy. They wouldn't abide by peaceful, civilized law and order. All of the same stuff that we used to say against slaves is the exact same shit that they say against Palestinians. And again, basically, this is all an admission that that Zionism does not fundamentally recognize or believe in or accept human rights. Period.
Yeah. It's in a sense, like, I do understand their original thought process, because I was there for a while too. Because in Western, well, I'll just say United States, and in the society of the United States, when it comes to discussing what's going on with Israel and Palestine, you are fed a steady diet of 4 words: Israelis good, Muslims bad. That's essentially what you're taught from the time you're old enough to understand it. So they see everything through that lens. And it's also why they do what John mentioned, that if you say, well, maybe we shouldn't allow Israelis to massacre Palestinians by the tens of thousands, to bomb hospitals, to blow up schools, dig up graveyards, raise universities to the ground, they immediately suspect, oh, but if the Palestinians were doing this to the Israelis, you'd be perfectly fine, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Yeah. They really believe that. They think that if the tables were turned, we'd be sitting back and saying, yep, this is great. Let's go. Let's more massacring. I'm fine with this. It's like, no, we don't think that any one group should have that authority based on ethnicity. And also the historical oppression part, that's also where I do understand where they're coming from. If you don't think about this for 5 minutes, is that what John, I think you said this too, John, where we all understand that historically, throughout human history, like recorded history as far back as we can see, Jewish people have been the victims of unfair oppression and of expulsions and pogroms and genocides. And this has happened multiple times throughout history. So people don't want to speak out against a group that has been historically marginalized, which is interesting because I don't see them having this problem with Black people. I don't see them having this problem at all. When it comes to Black people, they are first, second, and last in line to go up and say, well, have you seen these bad things about Black people? And this isn't a criticism of state, by the way. When we're criticizing Israel, we're saying the actions of this one sovereign nation, this government, its military, they're wrong. We disagree with that. But when it comes to black people, no, black people are bad. Like, it's actual racism that they're using there, but we're just talking about, statecraft. But I've grown to expect it. These aren't, necessarily bright or moral people we're dealing with. But yeah, it's what we're dealing with. What are you gonna do?
Same with gays. Same with
Yep,
women.
same thing. Yep, they have no problem when it comes to actual bigotry. They love it. This is actually, this is only tangentially related to what I was going to talk about, but Donald Trump's budget, I think it's 2.4, 2.8 trillion that is going to be raising the deficit.
3.7.
Is it 3 points? Oh, okay, 3.7. Wow. So the budget comes out. It's going to be raising the deficit again. Trump explodes the deficit. He's done it every single year he's been in office.
It's 2.4 trillion for the beautiful bill.
Oh,
okay, so that's not a shock, right? Trump always raises the deficit. He explodes it every single year he's in office. It's not going to faze Republicans at all. They're not going to be concerned about it. You might hear them say something like, "Wow, I really wish that the deficit wasn't going up," because that's not why they voted for Trump. That doesn't matter. The fact that Trump, the economy shrunk for the first time in years. We had 37,000 jobs added last month when we needed like 150,000. The fact that small businesses are going under, the fact that we had a contracted quarter, the first quarter of this year. They don't care about it. They care about the bigotry. Trump is hurting the people they hate. That's really what matters to them. And this is like the last thing I want to talk about with the Elon thing, although I know it feels like 10 minutes ago, was the fact that the Tesla stock, which is how we kind of started this, is going down, which is my favorite part of this. I love that after all of this work Elon puts into this, that Tesla stock is tanking. Tesla loses $152 billion in the stock market after the Musk-Trump spat. It's the biggest hit Tesla's taken ever. Shares of Tesla fell 14% on Thursday, that's today, as President Trump threatened to pull government contracts for Elon Musk companies. The move dropped the EV makers $152 million in value, putting it below the $1 trillion benchmark. This is great. And John and I have been talking about how Elon Musk is a fraud for as far back as I can remember. Every time things go south for Elon, he comes out with a goofy presentation, makes some fantastic prediction, and people still buy it. They still believe it. But once he was elevated to the cabinet status, basically in the White House, stock goes up because he has Trump's ear. Now he's lost Trump's ear. His 9th rocket exploded like 3 weeks ago. Tesla, like Cybertrucks, like every Cybertruck has been recalled. He can't sell them in Europe. Everything is falling apart, and I love to see it. I love seeing Elon Musk getting tanked like this, but the Elon Musk fanboys are still going to go for it, but it's pretty fun to watch. Wow, we had a lot of comments here. Holy shit.
We did. One comment, because this speaks to one of the issues I have with the Zionists. They always do this. Probius here is saying, where are these beautiful democracies? Closest things you have is Egypt and Turkey, and surely you wouldn't exactly call them all vibrant democracies. Sure, bro. I criticize them.
But why does that matter?
If you're being critical of them and you're comparing, why are you comparing Israel to them? Shouldn't the bar be way higher than them if you're critical of them? If you again, either you're okay with all of those other states in the Middle East, or you're not okay. Like you can't have it both ways. Like you can't compare it relative to the Middle East. You have to compare it relative to what you think ought to be.
That the other thing is that we're having this commenter is missing this whole fucking discussion because
shocking.
We're having a discussion about secular democracy and human rights. That's the discussion. And if you're going to say, "Oh, well, Muslims are bad and they do that," and then the Jews are that, you're fucking not understanding what we're talking about. If the beauty of secular democracy is that it goes past demographics, goes past religion. There's no ethnicity that's favored. There's no demographic that's favored. There's no age group. There's no gerontocracy. There's no gender. The basis of a governing body is that humans have rights, and that's supposedly that's why. God, I'm not saying this well. Secular democracy is a beautiful idea because the laws and the governance is based on human rights, ideally. And that's the level of discussion we're having. So it's not about, it doesn't matter how many nation states are failing here or there, it's still, our point still stands. Did I explain that well? Maybe you guys could.
No.
You did, Rio. Phoebus
Yeah.
isn't going to get it though. Phoebus says because you have expectations of the Palestinians creating a democracy, isn't going to work. No, I fucking don't.
What the fuck?
I don't. If you were to recognize Palestine, give them complete independence tomorrow, I have no fucking clue what they would do. No fucking clue, right? I don't care. They deserve it. They should be able to have their own state, regardless of what they are going to do with it. Israel should be able to have its own state, regardless of what they are going to do with it. And I will criticize them if they do bad things. Equally for Israel and Palestine, or a one-state solution, or China, or Saudi Arabia, or anyone. I will criticize them if they are an ethno-state. If they are not a fully egalitarian, liberal, secular democracy, I will be critical of them, including fucking America, who I'm critical of the most. I just don't get it. There doesn't have to be good guys and bad guys. There's right and wrong. Everyone can be wrong. That's an option that you can choose.
Well, to be fair to the last surviving Neanderthal, Phoebus here, I think what he was saying is that if we gave the entire landmass, and gave is the wrong word, it's not ours to give, but let's say like the Palestine, like Israel and the Gaza Strip and the West Bank was united, and that
instant full democracy, they vote for ending the democracy. That's what you're saying.
I think he's saying that it wouldn't, if we like as it is now, like it would be Hamas or something like Hamas that takes over, and that's not what we're arguing for either. It needs to be a secular state. Like the UN should be involved. The global community should be involved in this, because it's not going to. I think, John, you think the same way. I don't know about Rio. I imagine he feels similar to this that I do, that the two-state solution is not going to work. It's just not.
I don't believe in it. I personally don't believe in a two-state solution. I personally think there needs to be a one-state solution.
Yes.
Based in secular human rights, and that it should be called Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to tell you guys something. This is fucking mind-blowing. This is mind-melting. So on May 25th, there was a talk between Hamas and whoever the guy is that Israel is sending to do negotiations. Hamas, they actually they offered a deal, okay, where they would leave power. They would actually give up all the hostages, and Hamas would cease to be the leadership. They would leave completely. They would no longer be in control. So this is a huge offer made by Hamas. Hey, we'll leave. If you stop the killing, we will actually leave. We won't even be in charge anymore. And do you know what Israel did? This is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Israel, when they printed up that peace offering, that whatever it's called, the word is, I have a brain fart right now, but that the negotiation, they removed the part where Hamas offered to step down. And the reason that Israel doesn't want that in an agreement, in a negotiation, is because Israel wants Hamas to be the big evil bad guy that they can continue to fight.
Yeah.
And it's not about getting rid of Hamas. I just wanted to make that point real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'll really upset Benjamin Netanyahu. Oh, you got the.
Yeah, this is reported by Dropsite News. And they said Hamas agreed to an immediate handover of Gaza's administration to an independent Palestinian technocratic committee with full authority over governance and reconstruction, which would begin immediately.
Yep.
But the U.S. and Israel crafted no mention of Gaza governance and reconstruction. The day after may be discussed in future talks, but it is not guaranteed. I don't know how anyone looks at that and go, yeah, no, that wasn't fair to Israel. But Israel wants Gaza. That's it. They want Gaza. That's why all of this is happening.
Well, they want to get rid of Hamas. That's been
no,
like
it's
their
just
whole.
No, they don't.
I know, right? Yeah, trust us. It's all about Hamas. It's this entire
It's all
time.
about getting rid of Hamas.
It's all about
Hamas. And then
Hamas
is like,
bad.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so where did I see it here? One last thing. We haven't got too much attention, but you're just preaching foreign values on people who don't even want it. What the fuck do you think we're doing right now? Well, what do you think the United States government has been doing for the past 75 years? We have been preaching foreign values in this particular case, let alone the hundreds of other cases. That's what's happening. And so we don't have a choice not to have a say in this. I don't know why this is hard to understand. The problem only comes when we're saying, wow, maybe the Muslim population shouldn't be massacred with absolute impunity. Then people have this moral outrage against it. I don't know. It's upsetting. I'm sorry.
That's the thing. Of course I'm putting my values on what I'm going to do and say and think is right and wrong. Why the fuck would I just be like, oh, they don't have the same values as I do, I must be wrong, I must support them unconditionally? Why doesn't that apply to Hamas? Your values don't apply to them, so why don't you just let them be how they be? Why do you care if they want to kill all the Jews? Like, that's a foreign fucking value, bro. Why are you putting that on them?
Yeah, and if you could have this position if your country wasn't spending billions of dollars every year on one side, particularly the side with all the money and all the power. So yeah, I don't know. All right, let's move on here, John. What should we go after next year?
We should definitely talk a little bit about the people who don't get enough attention, men.
Of course, yeah.
So TJ, last week we discussed it had the details had not been revealed of this multi-million-dollar think tank that is meeting in these luxury hotels to discuss. I'm sorry.
That's a great comment.
Colby says, "How many people does the CIA have to kill before you see that socialism is bad?"
That's a great comment. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
That is very funny, Colby. That was very good. But anyway, so last week we were discussing how the Democrats spent millions and millions of dollars hiring this think tank to determine why men don't like Democrats. They're meeting in these luxury hotels. They're figuring out, and we made fun of them. And what we said was, "Hey guys, you don't need to spend the fact that you think spending millions of dollars on a think tank that goes to these luxury hotels to meet is going to help you appeal to men. That's the problem." And I said this investigation could release actual good advice to you guys, and I still wouldn't have any confidence in it because you're an idiot to think that this is the way you should figure this out. And I will have to say, TJ, I think they had some pretty good advice. I think a lot of the things that came out that was reported that they recommended or unveiled this week was pretty good. Did you get a chance? Did either of you get a chance to read the Politico article about this?
Yeah. What were your favorite parts?
So there were a couple things here. We'll put the article on the screen. We'll kind of go by them a little bit on a one-by-one basis, I think is the best way to point this out. But we'll go through a couple of the quotes. Here we go. So this is what was said by David Hogue. He said, "Democrats are seen as weak, whereas Republicans are seen as strong. Young men also spoke of being invisible to the Democratic coalition. So you've got this weak problem, and then you've got this I don't think they care about me problem. And I think the combination is kind of a killer." Now, Dems, if any of you are listening to me, it cost you $20 million to get this guy to tell you that. I would have told you it for free if you just fucking subscribe to the Left Brain. We've been saying this ad nauseum over and over again. Oh shit, sorry, my bad, guys. TJ, what did you think about that? That one, just start right off the bat, pissed me off. I'll also make this bigger for you guys.
Yeah, I was having a hard time reading it. This is about Democrats being seen as weak, and I think there's a lot to go on this, right? There's a lot. It's like, hey, what is more masculine than defending the weak? What is more masculine than standing up for what you believe in? What is more masculine than protecting women? Then Republicans and conservatives, I always say that they essentially believe in performative sociopathy. They think that the more you care about yourself and the less you give a fuck about others, the better of a man you supposedly are. Which is why Donald Trump, despite being, having bright blonde hair at 75 years old and wearing girdles and heels and wearing makeup every day and always complaining about reality TV, is the epitome of masculinity for them. Nothing about him is masculine in the slightest, but he's a bully. But he's a cruel, narcissistic bully of a man, and that's the pinnacle of masculinity for them. I think it's right there for the taking. I think that a lot of times, guys on the left, they are a little bit afraid of being too assertive and too aggressive and coming off as a bully. No, we need to be much bigger bullies, like we do. We're the ones standing up for the people who need defense. We're the ones fighting for right here. Civil rights didn't happen because Martin Luther King kindly asked for the racism to stop. Right? That's the message that's being sent across. But no, it takes a lot of action. What do you think, Rio?
That reading the political article was really triggering for me, dude. Holy shit. I kind of felt the same way that you did. Like, I could have told you that you spent $20 million. But the thing is that they want to know how to appeal. They just want to know how to appear better.
Yeah.
They want to just be more attractive to men. They don't necessarily want to like offer people better shit. They don't want to do like, they don't want to move in a progressive direction. They just want to know how they can look more progressive. And so it just came off as so like superficial and just flaky and bullshit to me.
Yeah,
Does
so
that make sense?
I want to point out something else that was said in this article because they say they vented about conflicting cultural messages of masculinity and put them into a no-win situation around the meaning of a man. They described how the COVID pandemic left them felt isolated and socially disconnected. They also said they feel overwhelmed by economic anxiety, making traditional milestones like buying a home or saving for kids' college feel impossible in the analysis, the research said. And I want to say, I don't know if I've ever said this before, TJ. John made a comment earlier. John, for those who don't know, is one of my favorite people who hate me online. And John sometimes comes on our show to yell at us. But he said this, and I actually think it kind of is intuitive. Because John said, also, Dems are never getting men back. Dems can't define men. Dems blame successful men for their own incompetence. Nope, never happening. And while John is pretty consistently wrong about everything that he says, I do think I'm seeing a very consistent message here, especially from men who feel disaffected by the Democratic Party, is that men don't have a positive definition. I'm sorry, Democrats don't have a positive definition of masculinity. If you go over to the right, you hear a very specific definition of masculinity, the one that you said earlier, be constantly in it for yourself, like shrewd, like Trump. Like Trump genuinely views people who are in it for themselves as stronger, more masculine, better than people who are in it for other people. He thinks those people are suckers, right? And that is, as much as I think it is wrong, it is a clear and concise message about what it means to be a man. And especially when you're a young man figuring out what being a man means, if you look at the Republicans, they give you an answer. If you look at the Democrats, they don't. Democrats tend to approach masculinity as something that needs to be fixed instead of something that needs to be championed in a positive way. I think they can turn that switch from, hey, all of these things are bad about men, which all of the things they've always said are generally correct, to, hey, this is the way good men behave. Instead of this is the way bad men behave, this is the way good men behave. And they focus their messaging and talking about this. And I mean this from a Democratic politician level. I mean this on a Democratic influencer level. I mean this on a college students talking to their friends level. I think that mindset, if it can shift to giving positive examples of what masculinity can be, will very much help attract the kind of young man who's kind of feeling lost for a bunch of reasons that are not his fault. And he's looking for guidance, and he's finding the wrong answers being the ones that make the most sense to him. And do I sound crazy here, guys?
Let me add to that, because I do very much profoundly agree with you. I'll take it a step further, and I'll say this: the right wing, the Republican, the conservatism, Christian nationalism, they will give you fake. They'll give you a fake man that's destined to fail and destined to make you feel more like a loser. Destined, because we are in a contracting economy for the working class, and the owning class is their resources are ballooning. And so if you're like they said in that political article, milestones, marriage, buying a house, buying a car, getting promotions, career stability. Does career stability even fucking exist anymore? or do we just go somewhere every 6 months to squeak by, right? So like, if you buy into the fake right masculinity, you will end up running into a wall and feeling like a failure, because we are in late stage capitalism, and those things would have worked in the 40s and 50s.
Yep.
And then you would have felt like a man. Okay, so you go to the right, you get fake masculinity. You go to the left, or you go not the left, you go to the Democrats and you get crickets, right? Can we kind of agree with that a little
Yeah,
bit? I mean, like, so there's fake, and then there's kind of no guidance, right? And then I would say we do need to have messaging on men, and I would say the place where actual masculinity lives is in progressive policy, is in the Bernie Sanders type space, where you actually are defending people, where you actually are giving food to the hungry, where you actually are giving housing to the homeless. That's real masculinity. Does that make sense? So I think that if we want to get men back and we want to have like strong messaging on men, it's progressive ideas. I mean, maybe that's simplistic.
Nope. I agree. I just wanted to comment that we're talking about masculinity. I got to stop taking drinks out of this and looking into the camera.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That is, I gotta stop doing that if I start talking about masculinity here and everything. But anyway, yeah, I think that it's very important that we do recognize this, because Rio, what you mentioned is absolutely true. That this is late stage capitalism, and with prior to this, everything was set up in a system, especially, well, I mean, not especially men, but specifically for men in this case, that there are winners and there are losers. There are guys like us. Let's be real. The three of us. The three of us are successful. We're stable. We're popular. We have charisma. People like us. They listen to what we say online. Most of these guys are never getting any of those, right? Like most of them are just, and listen, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, you right wingers, you're losers. I got it. But there's nothing wrong with not being people like us. We understand. But like you said, Rio, it's not their fault necessarily that they feel like losers, because what you have been taught since childhood is that this is what a man is. A man is someone who works hard. A man who provides for his family, who protects the people in his life, who cares for women, all this stuff, and you're someone who could support someone. Now we're in a system where women more or less have the same ability to work and the same ability to go to school that was previously reserved for men. So now it's not enough for you to just, hey, I have a job, now I can get a girlfriend. Nope, she's got a job too. You need to attract her. And no one taught them how to do that. No one taught them how to become attractive to women. And so they become bitter. And then they realize, oh, even if I do luck out somehow and find a woman who wants to spend time with me, we're going to have to split the bills. I'm never going to be that archetype of the male provider of 5 or 6 people. And I'm not going to be able to buy a house. It's funny how they say, well, you guys can't define a man. They can't either. They don't. Like that. I mean, that's why you always hear the question, what is a woman? You never hear what is a man, because everyone knows that there have been thousands of years of philosophy and thought and study on what is a man. And then the answer was never XY chromosomes. That was never the answer, right? Like what our societal definition of a man is deep and intrinsic. And it's why a lot of young men feel lost. So when Democrats don't address that and say, listen, here is the direction you can go. Here is something we want to champion. If someone commented in here, I wish I remember where it was, but someone said, here it is. I'm being so serious when I say this. If Democrats use Superman as the blueprint for masculinity, it'd be a huge gain. That's a great comment, Colby. That's like the second good one Colby's made today. That is fantastic.
Colby's on fire today.
Colby's on fire. He's cooking. Superman was built. The creators of Superman are 2 Jewish young men, Siegel and Schuster, I believe their names were, and they created Superman with like a Jewish sounding name, Kal-El, and they said that this guy is a representative of struggling against oppressions and thought in the 1930s, an alien from a different land who shows up and he's defending people. If you read old Superman comics, he's fighting against crooked business owners, against like clan members. Like Superman was always woke. That was always his thing in defending the weak, and he was strong as fuck. That is exactly what you need to go for. I talk about left-wing propaganda from the last 100 and 200 years or so. It's always men swinging hammers on anvils and shit. Mm-hmm. It's always presented itself being strong. It really wasn't until recently that we have this like academia style, which you can still be, masculine and strong in that vein too, but where it's like, oh, you need to be a nerd and you need to sit your ass down and shut up. It's like, nope. You should talk. You should talk your shit. You should be a bully towards cruel and evil people. And John, what do we say on the show all the time? The Democrats do a terrible job on telling people who their enemies are. They do a terrible job on this. Like if we had more people saying, yes, listen, the 1% is fucking you over. They are stealing your wealth. They are withholding healthcare from you. They're making your life more miserable. They're stopping you from spending time with your family and children. They're keeping you at work all day. They're making you slave for them. And then you can maybe, if you're lucky, retire for 5 or 6 years and then die. They need to be villainized. They need to be pointed out as the enemies of the state that they are. And the Democrats, like that's your answer right there. Like the $20 million is kind of funny because this is really simple shit that you could have gotten from any of us.
Yeah, but you still have the problem that, and I don't know if this is too edgy for your show, but the problem is,
It's probably not.
The problem is that the fucking Democrats just represent the billionaire class still.
Yep,
right?
it is.
So,
it is.
So the messaging from an owning class of capitalists is that any type of dissent is girly, weak, lazy, entitled, femi, gay. They want to pretend that masculinity is something that you're getting away from if you dissent from capitalism. Capitalism is man.
Yep.
If you don't have capitalism, then you are not a real man. So the Democratic Party has their hands tied. They can't message any differently because they are controlled by the billionaires.
It goes to a couple of different things. I think it's not just that they're controlled by the billionaires, Rio. Like that's definitely a factor here. But I also think it's that they just. I think that there is a genuine issue that stemmed from the late Obama era. To which I have always agreed on conservatives with, is that the social justice thing went too far. And there was too much animosity. There was too much hate-driven cancellation. And people like to fight back about this. And I'm like, no. There was clearly like animus. And I understand why the animus was there. But it wasn't actually helpful in building a coalition with men. It shooed a lot of them away. And it caused this problem where anyone who championed men within the Democratic Party, it was like, it was a vibes thing. You know, we talk about the vibes and how, a lot of voters are just vibes-based voters. Well, the vibes around that time were, hey, if I'm championing men, I'm a conservative. Kind of like how if you wore an American flag something, your vibes are conservative, and it became so bad that just no one did it. And so the only thing that you saw coming out of the left, and I'm saying the left, anything left of center, was generally that you just don't talk about it. If you have positive things to say about men, don't say them because you're helping the other side. And I think that was a massive mistake. And I think a lot of politicians are definitely in that mindset. And even now today, I see on the, like, when I say things like this and make these sort of arguments, I always get some people on the left who come and say, oh, so we're supposed to give more to men? Don't they have enough already? Shocking that a man is saying this. And look, I get what you're saying, but we don't have the luxury to make decisions based off of tailoring our message to those who are most deserving. We need to tailor our message to those that are most strategically valuable. That does not mean implement policy to further patriarchal systems of oppression, but it does mean when we are talking about our policy, we should talk with a man in our fucking mind when we're speaking, because that is the person we most need to convince in order to get this policy passed. And if you care about the optics of talking like you're talking to a man more than you care about actually passing the policy that ends the patriarchal systems of oppression, I'm sorry, I just don't think your priorities are in the right place.
So if I guys, Ria.
No, I'm just adding, identity politics has really, really hurt the left, and man hatred. I mean, I'll never say this on my channel, on my personal TikTok channel, because all of my audiences are leftists. But in a leftist space, man hatred is a huge fucking problem, a huge problem, dude. It is not good. Hating men is not good. And hating men is not necessarily you can complain about the patriarchy and you can love men at the same
Yeah.
time. And this is something that I think the left needs to, especially, and I'm not only talking about Democrats, I'm talking about actual leftists and progressives. They need to find a way to love and embrace masculinity. They really fucking do, because it is a big problem.
I think that a lot of this, to me, this is kind of a thing I like to talk about too. That I think a problem that we run into is that a lot of folks on the left are really married to nomenclature. They really, it really matters to them, like using a specific term or specific words or specific name for a philosophy, regardless of the effectiveness of it as a messaging unit. And one thing that I was, one of the first TikToks I ever did was on this topic. Well, not with men, but with racism, and how I don't like the term white privilege. I've never liked it, and I never use it. I think that it is an overall harmful term, and that's not because white privilege doesn't exist. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
But when you say white privilege, people who aren't familiar with the term, even today, like, it's not like people actually go out and study this. They just kind of hear this stuff in passing, unlike us. But when you say that a white person has white privilege, they're going to think you're saying your life is easy. You got nothing's difficult for you. Everything is handed to you on a silver platter. Now, then you got to step in and say, oh, that's not what white privilege means. White privilege just means that, yeah, you may have lots of obstacles in your life. This is, you live in the same capitalist society as I do. No one's handing you shit. But the obstacles we like minorities and black people specifically have one more obstacle growing up in this society that, has. And if you bring this up to most people who aren't dyed in the wool, absolute crazed right wingers, they'll say, oh, okay, yeah, I would agree that on average, black people have it a little bit tougher. And so I always say, if we always end up there, why don't we start there? Because like, if you immediately put people on their back foot by saying the white privilege thing, then you're automatically turning people off who might have been sympathetic to your cause. There's a lot of phrases like that. I don't like police abolition. I don't like that one either, because when they hear police abolition, they're going to think, oh, so no one's going to enforce any laws. That's not what you mean. But then you got to spend 10 fucking minutes explaining that. Now, unfortunately, there's no quippy phrases for something like that that could be accepted by everybody. Well, that's too bad, isn't it? I'm sorry. That's why Republicans do have an advantage, that they boil everything down to really simple shit that's easy to understand, even if it's incorrect. But we have easy, simple shit that's also easy to understand if it's incorrect. It doesn't work for us that way because, Republicans are dumb. Of course that's going to work on them, but it doesn't work for us, right? It doesn't happen. So you can't just immediately, and then when I bring this up, the same thing, Rio, when I said that, you can't do this. You can't just say, hey, white privilege, and turn people off. And I was flooded with comments too saying, well, listen, we shouldn't have to coddle white people. I know. You're right.
No.
We shouldn't. I'm sorry. Like, that's the world we live in. Like, do you want to win or do you want to be right? Because I want to win. Okay. If you're really like, it is very important to you that the term white privilege has to be used, go for it. I can't stop you. I just think that, what's it been? 15, 20 years we've been doing this. Has it worked? Has it been effective? Or do you think it's going the other way? So yeah, you don't got to change any of your principles. You don't got to change the idea that, yes, there are systemic power structures that have existed for decades that, last and permeate whether you started them or not. You don't got to change any of that. But changing your messaging is pretty important. What do you think, John?
Yeah, no, I think that I agree with everything you're saying, Teach. I think we've had these conversations before, but I think it's very telling what Rio said about how he doesn't post these things on his channel out of fear of the chastisement he knows is going to come.
I'll get mobbed. I'll get dragged. I'll get stitched.
Which Rio, I also don't post a ton about this specific message. Not necessarily because I'm like, you know me, I want that smoke, right? But like, it just doesn't even go anywhere. It doesn't gain the traction that other things do, because so much of our audience is captured by this idea that speaking about men in a positive light is an inherently negative thing. And when I would even say something, because I've gone deep on this. There are previous guests on this show that will not be a guest again of their own choice because I've said these things. But I'll talk to them and I'm trying my absolute best. And they're like, you're feeling this way because you're just used to privilege as a man. And I'm like,
yeah, God,
I really, really don't think that's the case. I totally admit I have tons of privilege as a man. I still don't think this is the way that I should be treated. To me, it's like, I'm not perfect, but anyone should be able to see me on the left and go, well, he's not perfect. I don't agree with everything he says, but like, clearly this is a person that can be an ally. You know, like whether you agree with me on whatever issue, whatever not, I'm someone that you can talk to, and it's probably going to vote in the same way you are. It's probably going to support 95% of the same positions you will. And the fact that when we say these things, even those of us who have demonstrated time and time again that we support all of these other issues that, you know, the people who are criticizing us for saying disagree with, it still gets shut down. And like, I don't want to say like, you know, those are the people that need to change, because I don't want to place the need to change on the people who are hurt the most. But like, I don't know what the right answer is otherwise. Like, there just needs to be a cultural change on our side of the aisle. It doesn't have to be about men specifically, but it has to be against hatred of large groups of people. Hate the billionaires. They're small groups of people. They should be hated. Hate the rich. You know, hate the people in power. Hate whatever. Don't hate half the population. That's just not a good strategy in electoral politics. I don't feel like that needs to be explained.
The problem with identity politics, one of the many, many problems, is that identity politics can be used to shut down really good progressive messaging. So, for instance, people were saying on the left, and this is so fucking stupid, they were like, I would never vote for Bernie. Even in 2016, I wouldn't vote for Bernie because he's a white male. And that's where identity politics, if you embrace it, and people are right to complain about identity politics, because you should listen to the substance of someone's message, the content. So like, for instance, I'm a white male, I am privileged, and I acknowledge that I am surrounded in my culture by racism. I am racist. It's saturated inside of me. Racism is something that you recognize and you deconstruct from. You're not racist because you're a bad person. You know, you're not like a mean guy and you are a racist because you're mean and stupid. So this is like a leftist progressive idea that I've had to explain to people, that racism is something that you recognize and deconstruct from slowly in hundreds of different ways. So even though I'm a white male, it's good to listen to me if it helps you to understand these type of concepts. So it's like, if you're not willing to listen to what someone's going to say just because of the color of their skin, you've gone into a regressive place. So identity politics takes us into a regressive place. Identity politics isn't good on the left or the right. Am I making sense?
You're making sense. You're making perfect sense. And to add on to that is that and I forgot what I was going to say. TJ, go ahead.
It's all right. Yeah. So you were saying that racism, unfortunately, this is another thing about how what we're taught as children about these social issues has really damaging effects on adults and politics in the future. That we were all taught that racism is a personal moral failing, that you're racist is just, code for bad person, like fascist or communist. Like, these are just bad people. Don't be like that. And instead of looking at racism for what it is, it's like an actual complex system that doesn't necessarily happen by a singular person or even a singular group's volition. It's not like a lot of rules or mores or whatever are inherently racist that weren't written to be so. That can easily happen. And when you tell people this, it doesn't connect to them because they think racism as, personal animosity or malice towards something that, this guy puts on a Klan hat and says, I hate black people. That person is a racist. And they don't see that, this housing structure is, or this housing policy is racist, even though race isn't mentioned whatsoever. And this also plays in the fact what you guys are talking about with, talking about men. This is something that I would say that you'll see 14-year-old boys who I feel really sorry for these days. Like young men today, or boys like just coming into adolescence and slowly getting into adulthood. The masculinity is in crisis on like what it actually means to be a man in the 21st century as opposed to the 20th or the 19th century. Radically different. not nowhere near similar. And then when these boys will say something like, yeah, I just don't think anyone's talking to me. I think the system's kind of screwed. I don't have a lot of hope for the future. Inevitably, someone online generally will say, well, what are you complaining about? You're a man. Who put this system together? Well, not the 14-year-old boy, okay? I got news for you. He was born into this just like you. He didn't have any say in this. He found himself here, and telling him that now you don't have to pretend that he has it harder than someone else like that, but you don't have to. That's not part of it. But it's like addressing the issues that he's confronting is important. And what bothers me about that is that people who will like attack, the personal moral character of like a lost boy, doesn't Peter Pan shit, but a lost young man not understanding what's going on. And they'll say, well, you're just a bad person. It's an oddly conservative point of view because it's, yes, this is you yourself, you personally have failed and it's your problem. And you're being cruel to people while ignoring the system, while talking about the system. It's an unfortunate reality we face here. And Rio, like what you're saying about identity politics, I always joke that conservatives talk about identity politics as if it's bad. But I say all politics is really identity politics when you get down to it. But conservatives are the masters of identity politics. It just happens to work out in their favor that for right wingers, they're essentially all the same person. Like 90% of Republicans are white conservative Christians, right? So there's not a lot of discussions going on there. They all kind of think the same thing more or less. But when you go to the left, it's literally everybody else. Like it's literally everybody else. You have non-Christians, you have Black people, you have Hispanic people, you have Asian people, you have the queer community, you have Muslim issues, and there's a lot of groups who have more or less the same goal in mind, but all the goals do not coincide. So there's going to be conflict there. So there's a lot more work to do to build a more perfect union. But when you're like, oh no, we're all the same person, we're cool to go, you can be as destructive as you want and occasionally still win. So yeah. Did you remember what you were going to say, John?
Yeah. Because I always use this example of, okay, everyone on our side of the aisle agrees. The reason that Black people have higher rates of crime is because of systemic issues in our society that have existed since before they were ever born, that affects them disproportionately and causes them to commit crime at higher rates. Not that it's something inherently bad about them. And while each and every one of them have a personal decision that they can make in their lives to take a better action and not hurt someone else, we understand why on a large swath these things were the way they are, and we should tailor our approach to them because of that. Justice shouldn't be punitive in this sense. It should be rehabilitative because they didn't choose the hand they were dealt, and we should help them overcome it, right? And when you talk about that with Black people, when you talk about that with any of these traditionally oppressed groups, people on the left, they understand that. However, for whatever reason, when you apply that same logical framework to a 14-year-old boy who grew up in white conservative Kansas in his fucking church, hyper-religious church and everything, they don't see that as a system of oppression which influences their decisions. They don't see it in the same way. And for reasons that I've never quite understood. Even when I explain it to them, they still disagree with me. And I'm just like, how I don't understand how they can hold both thoughts in their head at the same time. Now, it's important to acknowledge. I think that's the best way to explain it on the left. I do think that like it's when messaging this to that 14-year-old boy or whoever, right? I do think that we've spent a lot of time criticizing the left here and how we approach things, and it's all valid criticism. And I've enjoyed this conversation a lot. I really hope it's good TV. But I do want to ask you guys to kind of wrap up this topic. What is your prescription here? If you need to create, because we know what the conservative idea of masculinity is and how that is successful. What is the elevator pitch of what masculinity should be that Democrats should champion?
I don't know if I have an elevator pitch because I hate the fact that none of this is specifically policy based, that it's vibe based, that what politics is, and saying that, don't be afraid to fight is what I would say. Like, don't be afraid to fight. Like, don't think that there's something noble about shutting up and cowering in the corner and not standing up for what you believe in. Like there's no moral victories here. Like we have learned, like for 10 years now, we have tried taking this high road of, understanding folks and say, oh no, this is fine. No, criticize evil when you see it, but be kind to people, but relentlessly oppressive to systems. That's what I would say. What do you think, Rio?
We're trying to hold on to the 1940s and 1950s, and that's our definition of man. And I am myself, I'm an anti-capitalist. And I'm an anarchist because I don't believe there should be any type of ruling class or royalty or kings or anything. I don't think there should be an owning class that owns our survival resources. So I will tell you that I think that masculinity, rather than clinging on to the 40s and having a little house with a little mailbox and a little job and a wife that has kids and stuff, I think we should start to say, a man is something that is, oh God, how can I say this? Moving out of capitalism, something that's more decentralized, something that's working towards decentralized, non-authoritarian systems, no vertical morality. God, this is a hard fucking question, John.
Yeah,
it's a hard question.
It is. Yeah.
I think that it needs to be, we need to decouple manhood from capitalism. I guess that's going to be what I say.
Mhm.
I'll have to think about that more.
No, and it's a thing that we need to be thinking about. And I would say I think Colby kind of had the right answer here of Superman masculinity. And I think what I'm about to say is going to appeal to everyone, right? Masculinity is strength. I think that if you were to just put a word fucking vomit of like what words come up most when people describe masculinity, strength is gonna be on that fucking list. It's gonna be somewhere in the top 10. And masculinity is having the strength to take on other people's burdens. Masculinity is having the strength to fix what's wrong in this country, even if you aren't responsible for it.
The strength to live in community. That's a big one.
Masculinity is the strength to live in community with anyone, even people who hate you, even people who tell you you're evil for being a man or being white. That's okay with you because you're strong enough to take it.
And the strength to stand up for human rights.
Yes, stand up for other people, defend others. Like Superman, he has the strength to take the bullet, and so he's going to do it. There's a speaking of Superman, just a clip from My Adventures with Superman, the show that like with him and Lois Lane that's on HBO now, and he jumps in front of the guns and defends Lois Lane, and Lois Lane asks, "How'd you know you were bulletproof?" And he said, I didn't. I just knew you weren't. And like, that's masculinity right there. Being strong enough to take on other people's struggles. And I think that can be a message that can win.
I love it. Also, I guess it's only like somewhat related to it, but being able to meet people where they are is super important. And I could do better with this. This is one of the rare occasions where I could actually improve upon, my personal character here, in that a big problem on the left is we, like what John said, we have a suspicion of working with people who aren't exactly in lockstep with us. That I always point to the fact that if you're on the left, if you're anywhere near like the communist left, you are an eternal loser. You lose generation after generation, taking L's all day long. So unfortunately, what happens is we look for any victory we can get. So we will plant our flag on some ancillary issue and pretend like it is the most important thing ever. That, oh, you're a market socialist, huh? Why don't you suck my dick? No, like this is what we do. We just have these like tiny little areas. And I saw a video with this lady talking about how she was trying to organize this leftist organization, and there's not a lot of third spaces, not a lot of places where they can go. And they found this Presbyterian church, I think it was, whatever, it doesn't matter what kind of church it was, but it was a very left-wing organization. Like they had a woman as the pastor, there were pride flags all over the place, and the church said, yeah, you guys can use our area here to meet. And she brought it to the group, and like half of them said, no, I'm not going to do it. No, I can't. Like, wait, this church is, there are allies. No, I think that this is going to activate, religious trauma and shit. And listen, I'm sure maybe there are some people that would activate the trauma. Not all of them. I don't buy it. I just don't. I think that Because I could see myself be like, I don't want to go to a fucking church. I don't want to do that. I don't want to support this nonsense and everything. And I've come to the realization over the last few years, like, yeah, that's too bad, TJ. You're going to have to. We're not going to win this fight without them. Like, we're not going to. We can. Like, John, you mentioned the American flag. That it is a damn shame that we allowed the right to take the American flag from us. Like, that is one of the biggest mistakes that we ever made. That, yes, you can say correctly that that flag has stood for oppression and domination and genocide. I got it, right? But people like the flag. I can't change that. That's not going to change anytime soon. That when someone's walking around, they're carrying the American flag, even if they're wearing like a stupid Uncle Sam hat or something, and they're saying how proud they are to be an American, that group, no matter what they say, like that group is a hell of a lot more likely to attract voters than the group that's dressed like Darth Vader, where you have a bunch of people wearing all black head to toe and everything. That's terrifying. That's weird. And it's like, yeah, I got that. But, adopting these, hokey symbols of Americana, I just call them hokey, adopting like these symbols of Americana or even religious organization, it's very important. Like, you have to do that. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere. Don't be afraid to do that. That's all I want to add there.
And since you meant, like, you're talking about it earlier, and I didn't get to chime in, but to circle that back, meet people where they are. Racism. Most Americans think racism means you are evil, and you hate whatever it is, black people. And that's not what we view it on the left. And we say racism is a result of systemic oppression. People say on the left, white people can't be racist, because what they mean by that is there's no systemic oppression against white people, and so they cannot be racist. And I get it. I understand. It's not what most people think you mean when you say fucking racist. It just isn't. And so if your goal is to communicate with the majority of Americans, if you say dumb shit like white people can't be racist, they're immediately not going to believe the next words out of your mouth, because that's the dumbest shit they've ever heard. And if you put yourself in their shoes and you believed racism meant what they think it means, you would also think that you're dumb. So just think of everything from the perspective of the type of person you're trying to convince before you say it.
Yes, I can't believe I didn't mention that one, John. That one also gets me too, because the same thing happens where you say something, someone misunderstands it. You spend 30 minutes trying to explain what you mean, and say, okay, then just start there. Just ignore that part right there, because yes, the academic definition of racism and the colloquial definition of racism, two completely different things, right? Two completely different things. We don't use the word theory that way, right? Like, we don't say like, oh, I have a theory on this. That doesn't mean you have a complex scientific model on, who's going to win like this playoff game. No, your theory, you use that word the colloquial way, not the academic way. But a lot of people are less like, no, we need to use it this way. It's very important. No, it's not. I'm sorry. It's not. Like, if you want to win this or not, I don't understand why people are so wed to that. But yes, John, I completely agree that you have to find a way to talk to people in ways that they can understand you. This is the problem that people have giving public speeches a lot, or talking to their partners, or trying to find ways to be more engaging and more interactive and more entertaining when they're speaking to people, is that people don't realize that your public speech is not about you. It's about your audience. It's always about your audience. If you spend the whole time thinking, well, here's what I think, this is what I believe, these are my thoughts. No. What do they need to hear? What is the way you can convey this to them? It's why I always say, like, comedians who whine that they can't get laughs because their jokes are too edgy, that just means you suck. If I tell a joke, I tell jokes all the time, right? Sometimes they don't land. Every time someone doesn't laugh at a joke, that's my fault. Either A, the joke wasn't funny, or B, maybe it was funny and I fucked up the cadence, maybe I fucked up the delivery somehow, or C, maybe the joke was funny and maybe my cadence was perfect, but it wasn't the right audience. Either way, it's on me. People keep turning it around and saying, oh, no, it's like, I'm actually good. The audience is bad. No, the audience is who you need to win, which is why, like, I always complain with the election is that if we want to say that Kamala Harris lost the election because Americans were too racist and sexist, hey, maybe that's true. I don't know. It could be. It could very possibly be the case. But that's step A. What's your step B? Okay, so therefore what? What's the goal here? Like, what do you plan to do to win these votes over? And the responses I got were, no, this isn't the candidate's fault that they lost. It's the voters' fault. Listen, the test is how many voters can you get? It can't be their fault, right? It's specifically laid out towards them. Now, if you were selling a product and no one bought it, you can't go to your boss and say, well, I'm sorry, the audience or the customers are just wrong. No, wait, what else you got? You're going to lose your job if you do something like that. So when you're trying to say this, when you're trying to convey information, think about who you're talking to, not yourself. That's one thing I'd add there. Oh, no. Oh, shit. I just noticed the time. So, John, I didn't tell you this, but when I texted Rio the other day about joining the show, he said, yeah, but can you guys make sure to cover all the topics this time? Because I remember last time we got through with the show, and I can't remember what it was, but you had one thing you wanted to talk about. We never got to it.
Yeah,
and
I had researched like 2 topics, like super in depth, and they were the ones we didn't get to.
We only did 2. We only did 2.
It's 8:30 already. Oh my God, I gotta wrap it up. Did we at least go over? Did you spend a lot of time going into the Haiti stuff and the academic stuff, Rio?
I read all the stuff. I could talk about all of it, but no, we're good.
Okay, yeah, because I do have to get out quick. I'm sorry.
Rio, you are welcome to come back very soon. Because TJ and I have been very lazy about scheduling guests, so if you want to come back on, you can. There's very many spots open.
Yeah, we had like 12 spots set up and then didn't do any more. So now we're like, oh no, we got to get guests and everything. But sorry, I do apologize.
Remind me of that next time, TJ. And
yes,
we will schedule the show to make sure we cover every single topic.
You can't blame us this time, though, with the Elon Musk thing and the Trump thing. That took an hour,
and then we had a whole topic on Israel that we hadn't planned for.
And
it was great. It was a great discussion, great content. It happens like that sometimes.
You know what? Like this is random, but everybody knows that Trump's name is in the Epstein file.
Yes,
yeah.
Everybody fucking knows that.
Yeah.
And his the squirmy, squirrely way that he would always respond when they were like, "Are you going to release the?" He's like, well, that one, we'll have to see. You know, like the squirminess.
Yes.
Man. I just think it's so stupid and funny and petty, and that Elon said that.
yeah, it is funny. I am interested in seeing how the Republicans react to it. I already know how they're going to do it. They're going to say, oh, Trump and Elon are just having fun. They're just trolling. They're not going to take
locker room talk.
Yeah, they're not going to take it seriously because they're not serious people, because they can't say Elon's lying, and they also can't say Elon's telling the truth. Like they're kind of stuck there. I don't think they're going to pick sides on this. I think they're just going to say, oh, look at that. These guys are just having a bunch of fun. Watch how the libs get triggered. Look how excited you guys are over this nonsense. That's what they're going to do, but we'll see.
Yeah, it will be. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I also, because we have a couple minutes here, I just wanted to say before we close.
Yeah.
Because I think this is a very important point that sometimes gets misconstrued.
Mm-hmm.
So Phoebus, who's been our Mark Louderback stand-in today, said you're running for the United States of America and you think the flag of the United States of America is evil, but you should take it to get votes. I mean, come on.
Wow.
And you know what?
Wow.
I mean, that at least, like, I will say that criticism is internally coherent. Like it makes sense. Like, oh, we're not saying we should do it to get votes. We're saying we should repurpose it and make it mean something else.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It stands for a hell of a lot of things that are good and bad, and we should champion the good things while recognizing the bad things. If you just champion the good things without recognizing the bad things, you get yourself in a positive feedback loop that makes you repeat the mistakes of your past. If you champion the good things while recognizing the mistakes of your past, the good things will get even better. And that's what we mean when we say champion America, champion the American flag. It's not blind faith, a blind loyalty that we've always been the best. I think there was a clip today of Trump talking to the German, I forget, I don't know if it was the prime minister. I really didn't look too much into it, but he said they're talking about D-Day coming up, and Trump was like, "Oh, that was a pretty bad day for you guys, wasn't it?" And the German guy was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Wait, no, that was a great day. That was a day you guys helped liberate us from a evil dictatorship." And it's like, yeah, like you have to acknowledge the bad things that happened in order to get better. This is, again, you want to talk personal responsibility, you want to talk all that. Fine, take some personal responsibility to improve. How do you do that? You acknowledge the bad things. And honestly, that fucking goes for Democrats too. They hate to fucking do that.
John, that was great. I really appreciate that. That's really funny. That story about D-Day. I hadn't heard that. That's a pretty quick response there, and it's funny. But yeah, this is like I'm sorry to drag this on, but I do this when I talk about the founding fathers. That like I always mention how we have this unfortunate tendency to put historical figures in good person, bad person boxes. And like we have like good person box, Thomas Jefferson, third president of the United States, doubled the size of the nation, Louisiana Purchase, the Virginia Statute on religious freedom, all that shit that we know about. Well, we know, but about Thomas Jefferson and everything. And so whenever like you're taught about Jefferson, he is held up as this godlike figure. And then you bring up, oh, well, Thomas Jefferson was the largest slave owner or the largest or second largest slave owner in the state of Virginia. Like he was a child rapist and a human trafficker. Yeah. Then people will reflexively defend him and say, whoa, hey, that's a good person. That's Thomas Jefferson. Why do you hate Thomas Jefferson? Why are you attacking the founding fathers? And so like And honestly, some people left are like, oh yeah, fuck that guy. Everything about it is like, no, there are no good or bad people, right? Just like
it's exactly what we said about Israel, DJ. It's not good guys and bad guys. It's right and wrong.
Yes, and so like the flag, I can't remember who said it. Colby, I think Colby said the U.S. flag. No, that's not. Anyway, but he said, yeah, the flag is actually representing something bad. Yes, all the stuff I said about the bad stuff represented, true. But it also represents religious freedom. It also represents secular democracy. It also represents, defeating the Confederacy. Fuck those guys. Yeah, so the flag can represent good things, and you choose to acknowledge that, just like the founding fathers can. If you want to build a statue to Thomas Jefferson because Thomas Jefferson's a great person, that's a terrible reason. No. But if you want to say, hey, the Virginia Statute on Religious Freedom was the foundation for our First Amendment, and here's a statue of Jefferson honoring that. All right, I don't got a problem with that. I think that's great. Like, if you want to build one of Robert E. Lee, you're going to have to give me a reason. I don't think you can find one. I don't think you can find a good reason. Like, the only matter of historical significance that Robert E. Lee contributed to this nation was being the leader of the Confederacy. That's it. That's not, you can't name anything else. That doesn't apply to someone like Thomas Jefferson. So
best thing he ever did was stop doing the thing he's known for.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that he died without his citizenship. It's a hilarious story if you guys don't know this.
Really? I didn't know that.
So after the Civil War ended, President Johnson granted a blanket amnesty to most Confederates, like on the South, except for Confederate leaders and Confederate politicians. Those folks had to write out a oath to the United States and a recognition of the adoption of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments and say, hey, I agree with the abolition of slavery. I was wrong. I apologize. Here is my oath of allegiance to the United States. So Lee did this. He wrote out both things. He swore at this courthouse. He had it, notarized, and then he had it sent over to Washington. So Secretary of State William Seward got both of those letters and thought they were hilarious. He laughed his ass off. He thought it was so fucking funny. He took it, and he took Lee's apology and his affirmation of the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments and gave them to a friend of his as a cool souvenir. And then he took Lee's oath of allegiance to the United States and tossed it in a closet somewhere. And it stayed in that closet for 100 years. No one knew that it never got to the president's desk. And Lee died like 6 years later, begging for his citizenship. But unfortunately, I think it was 1970, under the Ford administration, the Congress reinstated posthumously Lee's citizenship, because of course they did. But, I do take a lot of solace knowing that he died a broken man without a country, begging to get his citizenship back. Very, very funny to me.
TJ, I will say that I was a little questioning this whole time whether Phoebus was a Republican or a Democrat.
Dude,
but he's here. He's defending Mr. Lee.
Of course.
Dude was a general in the Mexican-American War.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
we should have dozens. There are like dozens of general. I know. It's funny. They will go like, this racist really needs to be defended. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for watching the show, guys. This has been a fun one. You may have watched a topic that we did not prepare for. And fortunately, Rio prepared for everything for us, even though we didn't get to it. Rio, we're definitely going to have you back on again to talk. But if people want to go see you somewhere else, where can they find you?
Well, I should have put my handle under the thing. I saw in the prompt that it wanted me to put that, and now I understand why, because now it says Rio. But you can check out my TikTok. I haven't been posting lately, but Woods of Rio at Woods of Rio is what it is. So TikTok.
Thanks so much, Rio. Yeah, folks, go ahead and watch this content. We recommend it. Also, if you want a statue built in your honor, do literally anything. Because apparently Phoebus thinks that that's good enough to get a statue. And you can be recognized for posterity for hundreds of years now. Other than that, check out Rio's content. Make sure you check out John and I's show next week on Tuesday. Have a good one, folks.
Peace, guys.
Good game, folks.